So good morning second years. So hope you all are fine, safe and seeing through the videos whatever the teachers are sending and taking down the notes. So today in this video I am taking class, like in this video I will be dealing with community health nursing, which I have taken long back in your before lockdown, when you all were there in the college, where we started with unit number 2, that is determinants of health, where I had where I have dealt with other topics like dimensions of health, determinants of health, as well as other like housing, climate, and then like regarding water, drainage, sewage. So what are the things that is required, air. So all these things we have seen in that unit. So now we'll continue with the same unit, that is determinants of health, and then we'll start with the next topic in that unit, that is arthropods and rodents. You all know what is arthropods and rodents. So these arthropods and rodents are usually present in the environment, which usually causes infection as well as transmit the diseases in the man. Okay, so that is which usually causes diseases, that is it transmits the diseases as well as it infects the man. So this usually they infect the man by a bite. Okay, they usually infect the man by the bite. So that is usually about this thing. So that is there are many arthropods and rodents. There are many arthropods in the environment which usually transmit the diseases as well as infects the man. Okay, which usually transmits the disease and infects the man. So that is usually there. So and this is usually seen that the study of this arthropod, okay, study of this arthropod is usually known as medical entomology. Okay, study of arthropod is usually known as medical entomology. Okay, it is usually known as medical entomology. So that is usually there. So in India, okay, in India when we are talking about in our country, so the disease produced by arthropods and rodents constitutes a major health problem. Okay, it usually constitutes a major health problem both in urban as well as rural communities. Okay, both in urban as well as rural communities. So that is usually there. So number of cases, like when we talk about the cases which is caused by this arthropod or rodents, when we check out, so when we talk about this diseases, for example like malaria, okay, when we take this malaria, so the cases are mainly like 4 to 5 million cases. Okay, 4 to 5 million cases of malaria is seen annually. So that is there, and 236 million people are living in filarial endemic areas. Okay, they are living in filarial endemic areas, and 5 billion people are affected by this Guinean worm infestations. Okay, Guinean worm infestation. So that is usually there, and due to this parasitic infections, okay, due to this parasitic infections, about 1720 deaths occur per day. Okay, due to this parasitic infections, about 1720 death occurs in our country. So that is usually there. So normally that is usually seen there are many arthropods in the environment which usually causes diseases or transmit diseases in the man, and the study of this arthropod is usually known as medical entomology. And India, when we talk about, there are many diseases which is caused by this arthropods, again rodents. Okay, there are many diseases which is caused by this arthropod and rodents, and this usually constitutes a major health problem in our country. Okay, it constitutes a major health problem in our country. And then you can see, for example, like malaria, there are about 4 to 5 million cases, and filaria there are about 236 million cases, and then due to this parasitic infections, what happened, about 1720 deaths occur per day. So that is usually about this thing. So how it transmits disease? So this usually transmits disease mainly by biting. Okay, it mainly transmits the disease by biting or like depositing the infective material. Okay, depositing the infective material on the food or on the grain or other objects. Okay, so that is the objects which we use. Okay, that is the objects which we use. So it usually deposits the infective material on that. So if we are like food and all, if grains or food, if it has been deposited, if without washing it or without cleaning it, if we have that, the organism enters into our body. Okay, the organism, the arthropod, the infective material enters into our body. So that is usually about this arthropod and rodents. So that is mainly about this arthropod. There are many diseases which is usually caused in our country. So that is usually, it usually transmits the disease by biting or depositing the infective material on the food, grain or any other object. So that is usually there. So there are certain arthropod diseases which is seen like cyclope, vectors. Okay, there are certain vectors which causes disease like cyclope, causes Guinean worm disease, hard tick causes tick typhus, soft tick causes relapsing fever, mite causes scrub typhus, itch mite causes scabies, housefly causes cholera. So these are usually the vectors which usually causes this diseases. So that is usually about this. So next is mode of transmission. So when I talk about this mode of transmission, There are usually three types of transmission. Okay, there are usually three types of transmission. One is direct contact, the other is mechanical transmission, the other is biological transmission. So that is usually there are three different transmission, like the three different types of transmission: direct, mechanical and biological transmission. So direct transmission, it is mainly by which usually transmitted directly through from man through close contact. Okay, it is usually directly transmitted to the man through close contact, especially scabies and pediculosis. Pediculosis are transmitted through this direct transmission. That is, it is directly transmitted to the man by close contact. So next is mechanical transmission. Mechanical transmission, so the disease agent is transferred by arthropod to a man. Okay, the disease is transmitted from the by arthropod to the man. So that is usually about this mechanical transmission. So mechanical transmission, in this the disease agent is transferred by the arthropod to the man. Example: diarrhea, dysentery, typhoid. So these are usually the diseases which is transmitted through mechanical transmission. So next is biological transmission. So biological transmissions, and the disease agent goes through certain developmental stages. Okay, it is usually developmental. It's in the arthropod host. Okay, in the arthropod host. So where it usually it might be developing with or without multiplication. Okay, where it might be developing with or without multiplication. So that is biological transmission. So biological transmission, here the disease is transmitted by different developmental stages in the arthropod host. So what are the different developmental stages? The first is propagative stage, the second is cyclopropagative, and the third is cyclodevelopment. So that is usually what happens. So it is mainly propagative stage. When we talk about this propagative stage, so the disease agent, okay, the disease agent undergoes a cyclic change. Okay, the disease agent undergoes a cyclic change which multiplies in the body of the vector. Okay, which multiplies in the body of the vector. So you can see this. So normally I have told you that biological transmission. So in this biological transmission, the disease causing agent goes through some developmental stages in the arthropod host. So that is, they'll go with developmental stages. Okay, they go through some developmental stages. So in that I said first is propagative stage, the next is cyclopropagative stage, and the third is cyclodevelopmental stage. So in that first is propagative stage. So in this propagative stage, the disease agent undergoes a cyclic change. Okay, the disease agent undergoes a cyclic change and multiplies in the body of the vector. Okay, they multiplies the body of the vector. So that is, the disease usually agent undergoes certain changes. Okay, the disease undergoes certain changes, but here multiplication will be in the body of the vector. Okay, not in the body of other body host or something. So they will be multiplying in the body of vector. Okay, they will be multiplying in the body of vector. For example, plague bacilli. Okay, for example, plague bacilli. So next is cyclopropagative. Okay, cyclopropagative. So in this usually what is happening, the disease agent undergoes cyclic changes. Okay, here also cyclic changes occurs, and it usually multiplies in the body of the arthropod. Okay, so that is usually there where it multiplies into the vector. Here it multiplies in the body of arthropod. Example, malarial parasites in the Anopheles. Okay, malarial parasites usually multiply in the Anopheles, and this Anopheles usually causes the disease in the man. So that is usually about this thing. So cyclopropagative, this also undergoes cyclic changes, but the vector, it multiplies in the arthropod, whereas in the cyclopropagative it multiplies into the vector, and this is usually example, it is mainly includes malarial parasites. So next is cyclodevelopment. So when we are talking about the cyclodevelopment, here it does not here also it undergoes cyclic changes, but it does not multiply. Okay, but it does not multiply. Example, filarial parasite in Culex mosquito. Okay, filarial parasites in Culex mosquito. So that is usually transmitted from man to man. Okay, that is usually transmitted from man to man by arthropod mosquito bite. Okay, by arthropod mosquito bite. So in this cyclodevelopment, what is happening? So normally there is cyclic changes here also it is occurring, but it is not multiplying. Okay, it is not multiplying in the body of arthropod. So that is example, filarial parasites in the Culex mosquito, where it is transmitted from man to man by arthropod mosquito bite. So that is usually about this biological transmission. So this is usually about this transmission of biological transmission, and this is usually transmission of arthropod diseases or diseases. That is, it includes direct contact, direct transmission, mechanical transmission, and biological transmission. So in this direct transmission, it is by close contact with the vectors, and then by mechanical transmission, it is usually done by through it is usually transferred by the arthropod to a man. Okay, it is usually transferred from arthropod to a man. Then biological transmission, it mainly includes the different developmental stages. So that is usually includes like propagative stage, cyclopropagative stage, and cyclo-developmental stage. So next we'll see about this arthropod control. So how we will control this arthropod? So arthropod control, it is mainly done by personal protection or chemical protection. So it is mainly done by personal protection. So it is usually about this. Like this is like normally we saw in this, it is mainly by the transmission of disease. Okay, transmission of disease. So we'll continue with the class or continue with the video what we have seen. So in the previous video we have seen about the transmission of diseases. Now we'll see what are how we can control this arthropod. Okay, how we can control this arthropod. So how we can control this? So this is controlled by personal protection. Okay, that is usually by personal protection, and this personal protection, it is mainly done by physical and chemical barriers. Okay, it is usually done by physical and chemical barriers, like using mosquitoes, like protecting us from the bite of the mosquitoes and flies. Okay, protecting us from the bite of the mosquitoes and flies. So what are the physical barriers? I have told you that this can be protected by using physical and chemical barriers. So physical and chemical barriers, how we can use? So what are the things that is being used to protecting against the bite of mosquito and flies? Is that, so first physical barriers, it is like using mosquito nets, screening of the buildings and hospitals. Okay, screening of the buildings and the hospital by wire gauze. Okay, by wire gauze. And then chemical repellents can be used, like you can see like Odomos, we usually apply this cream, okay, liquid cream. Okay, we usually apply this liquid cream which is commercially available. Okay, which is commercially available. So it is usually about this thing. Other than that, vector control should be done. So vector control will be done by many approaches. Okay, vector control will be done by many approaches, like environment protection, chemical protection, biological protection, genetic protection, and other protective measures. Again, other protective measures. So that is usually about this thing. So arthropod, it is mainly controlled by personal protection, and this personal protection is done by using physical barriers and chemical barriers. Physical barriers, it mainly includes like mosquito nets and like screening of the hospitals and building by wire gauze. Chemical barriers, it mainly includes like applying liquid lotion all over the body. Along with this, we have to go with vector control, and this vector control is done by different approaches: environment protection, chemical protection, biological protection, genetic protection, and other protective measures. So this environment protection, it is usually a permanent approach. Okay, this environment protection, it is usually a permanent approach. So this is usually carried out by filling the ponds, stagnating water, and drainages, etc. Okay, so this is carried out by clearing the ponds, stagnating water, stagnated water, drainages, everything will be cleaned or it will be removed. So this is mainly done to avoid breeding of mosquitoes. Okay, it is done mainly to avoid breeding of mosquitoes. So that is usually there, and also to they go with proper disposal of the sewage. Okay, proper disposal of the sewage, so that fly breeding can be avoided. So that fly breeding can be avoided. So that is usually done. So this is the best permanent method where we go with, which is having good results. So this is usually carried out by clearing the stagnated water, drainages, everything, cleaning out that regularly so that mosquitoes will not breed, and also going with proper sewage disposal. Okay, proper sewage disposal, so that we can avoid fly breeding also. So that is environment protection. So there is chemical protection. So chemical protection, it is usually by using some insecticides like DDT, malathion, methoxychlor. So this is all used to this is all usually sprayed so that mosquitoes and flies will not breed. So that is usually about these chemicals. So next is biological protection. So biological protection, here we use living organisms to kill the vectors. Okay, we use living organisms to kill the vectors, like few form of fish. Okay, few form of fishes will be used for clearing the vectors, such as Gamburia and Libister fish. Okay, Gamburia and Libister fish. These are usually placed in the fresh water so that it will control the breed of mosquitoes. So that is usually about this biological transmission. So genetic protection, so that is usually by the genetic control of mosquitoes. Okay, it is mainly done by genetic control of mosquitoes. So that is usually where they go with sterile male techniques. Okay, so that they will stop the growth of mosquitoes, stop the multiplication of mosquitoes. That is sterile male techniques. So that is usually about this vector control measures. That is it is mainly done through environmental protection, where we go with clearing what the stagnated water or wherever the water is been seen, or drainages, everything will be clear so that mosquitoes will not breed, and sewage will be disposed properly so that like fly breeding can be avoided. Then it is like chemicals where we will be spraying DDT and malathion. Then biological transmission, we make use of living organisms to destroy the vectors like gambia and livister fish will be used, which usually kills the mosquitoes. Then genetic, it is mainly WHO and ICMR has recommended this. So where they usually go with using techniques of genetic control of mosquitoes, like the techniques are mainly sterile male technique. So this is usually measures to control this vectors and control this arthropod. It is mainly done through this measure. It is mainly done through the measure where physical barrier and chemical barriers will be used. So next is we'll see about this vectors one by one. Like what are the vectors, what are vectors, how it causes the disease, how it is transmitted, everything we will be seeing one by one. The first vector is cyclope. Okay, the first vector is cyclope. So cyclope, it is mainly present in fresh water. Okay, cyclope, it is mainly present in fresh water. So this is pear-shaped vector. Okay, this is pear-shaped vector where the tail is forked. Okay, the tail is forked, pigmented eye, 5 pair legs they have, and 2 pair antenna is present. Okay, 2 pair antenna is present. So this is usually a pear shape with semi-transparent body. Okay, this is usually a pear shape with semi-transparent body, and the tail is forked. Okay, the tail is forked, and then pigmented eye, and they are having 5 pair legs as well as 2 antenna. Okay, as well as 2 antenna. The average lifespan of cyclope is 3 months. The average lifespan of cyclope is 3 months. So that is usually next is types. Types, it is genuine worm infection, fish tapeworm infection. That is usually about this, genuine worm infection and fish tapeworm infections it usually causes. What are the control measures? So mainly by physical method, chemical method and biological methods. So they mainly controlled by physical method, chemical method, biological method and social method. So physical method, so that is mainly straining with muslin cloth. So water should be strained with muslin cloth or filtered with muslin cloth because it is usually present in fresh water and which might causes like harm to this fresh water. So therefore the water should be strained with muslin cloth. So chemical methods, it is usually what happen, we have to use bleaching powder in the water. Lime can be added to that as well as a blade can be done. So bleaching powder can be added in the water so that we can prevent this. Next is biological methods. So biological methods, it is all that the use of or living organisms like barbel fish and gamburia fish. Okay, they usually use this barbel fish and gamburia fish. So that is a social method. Then it is usually use of introducing pipe water supply. With the class, in the previous video had like we were dealing with regarding vectors. So where we have started with cyclope. So now we will continue with the next vector, that is ticks. So ticks usually belongs to Ecrina of phylum Arthropod. Okay, it usually belongs to Ecrina of the phylum Arthropod. So ticks are usually ectoparasites. Okay, ticks are usually ectoparasites. So what are the ectoparasites? Which usually will be present in the animal, suck blood and transmits disease. Okay, so they are usually ectoparasites which usually are present in the vertebrate animals, sucks blood and transmits the disease. Okay, and transmits the disease. So they are usually oval in shape. They are usually oval in shape with 4 pairs of legs. Okay, they are usually oval in shape with 4 pairs of legs and no antenna. Okay, they will not be having any antenna. Antenna like that you would have seen like in cockroaches it will be there, na, like 2 antennas. So that antenna will not be there in this ticks. So ticks are usually a group belongs to Ecrina of the phylum Arthropod. They are usually ectoparasites, will be present in the vertebrate animals, suck blood and transmit the diseases. They are usually oval in shape with 4 pairs of legs, but they don't have antenna. So classification, it is mainly hard tick and soft ticks. Okay, classification are mainly 2, hard tick and soft tick. So next we'll see how it transmits the disease. So transmission, it is usually by biting. Okay, transmission is mainly by biting. Okay, they transmit the disease by biting. So that is usually about this. So that usually what happened, the infected, after biting the infected material, they burrow it into the skin and usually and they suck blood. Okay, so after biting they usually suck blood and causes anemia to the individual. So that is usually about this thing. So that is, it transmits through biting and usually like under the skin it usually puts its infective material and it sucks blood and transmits the disease and makes the individual anemic. So that is usually this. How we control this? So this can be controlled by using insecticides. Okay, this can be controlled by spraying insecticides. Okay, spraying insecticides, that is DDT, lindane, malathion at the rate of 1 to 2 lbs per acre of tick infested area. Okay, tick infested area. So that is usually by spraying chemical insecticides. Okay, by spraying chemical insecticides like DDT, lindane and malathion. And then by protecting the workers. Okay, it can be prevented by protecting the workers. So they have to wear protective clothing. Okay, people are working like they are prone to develop this tick infection or tick disease, then they have to wear protective clothing. So then at the end of the work they have to examine thoroughly. Okay, they should be examined thoroughly. So that is usually about this tick. So tick, it is usually belongs to Acrina of the phylum Arthropod. So this is oval shape with 4 legs and it does not have any antenna. So this tick usually transmit the disease by biting, placing the infected material on the skin and sucking the blood and making the person anemic. So this can be transmitted or this can be prevented by making like spraying insecticides and protecting the workers. So next is itch mite. Okay, the next vector it is itch mite. So this itch mite, it is usually seen that. So this itch mite, it is usually it resembles to tick. Okay, it resembles to tick, but will be like they will be having different entity. Okay, they will be having different entity. So this is usually extremely small arthropod. Okay, this resembles ticks, but it is extremely small arthropod. Okay, it is extremely small arthropod. This is just visible in naked eye. It measures about 0.4 mm in size. Okay, it is a small arthropod which usually measures about 0.4 mm in size. So that is usually, this is also ectoparasites of man. So that usually lives and breathes in the human skin and causes a disease known as scabies. Okay, it breathes inside the human skin, lives inside the human skin and causes a disease called as scabies. So itch mite, it is similar to it resembles ticks, but a small arthropod which usually measures about 0.4 mm. So this usually, it is also ectoparasite which breathes inside the skin of the human, lives there inside the skin of the humans and causes a disease called scabies. Okay, disease called scabies. So that is usually there. So this is usually about different types like stereotype scabies or simply scabies. So that is stereotype scabies. So this is one of the old disease. Okay, stereotype scabies, the disease which itch mite causes, it is stereotype scabies or only scabies. So stereotype scabies, it is the old disease of it is old disease that is mainly caused due to poor sanitation. Okay, that is mainly caused due to poor sanitation. So that is mainly female mite. Okay, female itch mite. Okay, female itch mite burrows into the epidermis. Okay, it gets entered into the epidermis, breathes in the epidermis and causes itching. Okay, causes severe itching. Okay, causes severe itching. So that only this name it is given as itch mite. Okay, for that reason only this vector, the name it is usually given as itch mite. So that is stereotype scabies. Okay, stereotype scabies. So that is usually what happened. It is one of the oldest disease which is usually caused due to poor sanitation. So what it does is that this mite enters into the epidermis, breathes there in the epidermis and causes severe itching. For that reason this vector is usually called as itch mite. So next is scabies. Scabies, it is one of the skin disease which is caused by this itch mite. Okay, scabies is one of the skin disease which is caused by this itch mite. So they will be having intense itching which worsens at the night. This itching will be severe in the night. Okay, itching will be severe in the night. So it usually effectively, you can see it affects the hands, wrist, elbow. Okay, it affects the hands, wrist, elbows, buttocks, lower abdomen, feet and ankles. So the scabies is usually seen that it affects the hands, wrist, elbow, abdomen, that is buttocks, lower abdomen, buttocks, ankles and feet. So that is usually there. So close contact and contaminated clothes, like how it spreads, close contact with the infected person and by touching contaminated cloth with the infected person, this usually spreads. It spreads from person to person. Okay, it usually spreads from person to person. So that is usually about this transmission of this scabies. So how we can control the scabies? So scabies can be controlled by giving treatment. Okay, it can be controlled by giving treatment. Okay, it can be controlled by giving proper treatment. So that is by using good soap, by scrubbing the area where it is infected with water, this is effective treatment. Then using 1% lindane, okay, by using 1% lindane and vegetable oil, it's like if it is applied on the area which is infected, that also destroys the scabies. Then 5% tetmosol, okay, 5% tetmosol application thrice a day, okay, 5% application of tetmosol thrice a day will cure the disease. Then 10% sulfur ointment, okay, 10% of sulfur ointment daily for 4 days is best and economical, okay, it's best and economical. So that is usually the scabies control. It is mainly seen that like all family members should be given treatment, okay, all the family members should be given treatment simultaneously, not like one person is given treatment, the other person in the family is not given treatment, it will not be like effective. So the treatment will not be effective, so all the person at a time they have to give the treatment. So how it is usually given, like first we have to like good soap can be used, it should be scrubbed on the infected area, then 1% lindane and vegetable oil should be used and then it should be applied there. Then 5% tetmosol application is applied on the skin thrice a day. Then 10% sulfur ointment should be applied daily for 4 days, and this is usually the treatment or control of this scabies. So this is about this itch mite. So what is this itch mite? It is similar to that of the ticks, but it is small arthropod which measures about 0.4 mm, okay, in size. And this is ectoparasites which breeds inside the skin and lives there and causes the infection. And this itch mite, it is usually like causes different disease like stereotype scabies. Stereotype scabies is the oldest disease which is usually occurring due to poor sanitation. And this, what it does is that the female mite which is present, it burrows into the epidermis, stays in the epidermis and causes the infection or causes severe itching. For that reason it is called as itch mite. So next is scabies. Scabies is a skin disease which is caused by this itch mite. So it mainly affects hands, wrist, elbow, lower abdomen, buttocks, feet and ankles. So it is spread through from person to person by close contact or by touching the contaminated thing. So only they said that contaminated cloths. So only they said that like the people who are infected with the scabies should wash their clothes with hot water so that it might be destroyed. The itch mite will destroy. And the control, it is mainly by using certain chemicals like lindane, tetmosol or sulfur ointment should be applied daily. So it usually cures this scabies. But each and every individuals who are present in the family should be given treatment. So that is usually about this itch mite. So next vector, it is mosquito. So mosquitoes are usually, you can see, which is causes many diseases like female anopheles, Aedes aegypti. So there are many mosquitoes which usually causes many diseases. So that is usually, so mosquitoes consist of 3 parts, that is head, thorax and abdomen. Okay, it consists of 3 parts, that is head, thorax and abdomen, a pair of antenna and a pair of palpi and a pair of wings and 3 pairs of legs. So this mosquitoes, it usually consists of 3 parts, that is head, thorax and abdomen, then a pair of antenna, a pair of palpi and a pair of wings and 3 pairs of legs. So these are usually the body which usually a mosquito consists of. Then what is that? So head, it is usually a semi-globular in shape. Okay, head, it is usually semi-globular in shape which has a pair of eyes, long needle-like structure called proboscis. Okay, long needle-like structure which is usually called as proboscis, which bites, which usually used for biting, and also a pair of palpi on either side of the proboscis. Okay, on either side of the proboscis they are having a pair of palpi. So this is usually, and also they will be having a pair of antenna. So head, it is usually semi-globular in shape which is having a pair of eyes and a pair of proboscis which is used for biting, and also antenna is there and also a pair of palpi at the side of the proboscis. Next, thorax. So it is large and round. Okay, it is large and round. So where a pair of wings are located. Okay, pair of wings are located and 3 pairs of legs vertically and 3 pairs of legs vertically. So that is usually about this thing. So when the mosquito is rest, the wings are folded. Okay, the mosquito are rest, the wings are folded. The buzzing sound which we hear, okay, the buzzing sounds of which we hear, it is mainly due to the beating of wings. Okay, the buzzing sound which we hear when mosquito passes in and around, the buzzing sound which we hear, it is mainly due to the movement of the wings. So that is usually thorax. And next, abdomen, it has 10 segments. The last 2 segment is the external genital. Okay, the mosquito, abdomen, it has 10 segments. The last 2 segments, it is from external genitalia. So this is about the structure of mosquito. So mosquito structure mainly consists of head, thorax and abdomen. Head consists of 2 eyes, a pair of antenna, pair of proboscis and a pair of palpi. Thorax consists of, it's large and round. It consists of pair of wings, and these wings are folded when a mosquito is at rest, and the buzzing sound is mainly due to the movement of the wings. Abdomen, it has 10 segments. The last 2 segments are external genitalia. Then the life cycle of mosquito. So life cycle, it passes the stage of egg, larva, pupa and adult. Okay, it usually passes the 4 stages, that is you all know. Normally you all know what is this life cycle of mosquito, you studied in your lower classes. So it is mainly egg, larva, pupa and adult. It takes about, life cycle takes about 1 week. Okay, life cycle takes about 1 week, and the lifespan of mosquito is about 15 days. Okay, the lifespan of mosquito, it is about 15 days. So we'll continue with the video. So normally we were dealing with mosquitoes, where we have studied about what the structure of mosquito, lifespan of the mosquito, life cycle of the mosquito. So now we'll see how to control the mosquitoes. Okay, how we can control the mosquitoes. You all know how to control the how the measures to control the mosquitoes. So that is usually what happens. So first is we have to protect against mosquito bites. Okay, we have to protect against mosquito bites. So how it can be protected? By wearing full sleeve cloths, as well as by using mosquito nets or mosquito coils or mosquito chemical repellents. So all this thing if we use, then we can control this mosquito bites. So that is usually the mosquito repellents. Okay, the repellents that we use, it is mainly like diethyl or alumide ethyl, exondyl and indolin. Okay, so these are usually the chemical repellents that we use. So that is diethyl or alumide, then ethyl, exonodyl and indolin. So these are the repellents that we usually apply and can control the mosquito bites. So next is for larva. Okay, so in case of this larva, so first we have to reduce the breeding control. Okay, we have to it can be done by reduction of breeding control. So that is usually that. So we have to like stagnated water, everything should be avoided, so that we can control the breeding places. So in order to reduce the larva, okay, we can use certain larvicides. Okay, we can use certain larvicides like mineral oil. Okay, mineral oil, once in a week we can use this. It will kill the larva. Okay, mineral oil like diesel oil, fuel oil, kerosene and crude oils. So mineral oils can be sprayed, so that usually kills the larva. So mineral oils such as diesel oil, fuel oil, kerosene, crude oil. So all this can be used or sprayed so that it can kill the larva. Then we can use certain synthetic insecticides. Okay, we can use certain synthetic insecticides like abate, phantoin. Okay, we can use certain synthetic insecticides such as abate and phantoin. So next, so these are usually for the control of larva. So next is in order to control the adult. So normally pyrethrum should be sprayed. Okay, pyrethrum should be sprayed about 1.202 grams. Okay, about 1.02 grams. So that is usually in case of to control the adult, we have to go with space spray. Okay, we have to go with space spray pyrethrum about 1.02 gram per 1000 cubic feet. Okay, it should be sprayed, that usually kills the adult mosquitoes. Okay, this is usually by the measures which is taken to control the mosquitoes. So that is about this mosquito. So next vector is housefly. So housefly, it is mouse grey in color. Okay, housefly, it is mouse grey in color, which is 1/4 inch in length. Okay, which is 1/4 inch in length with head, thorax and abdomen. Okay, so housefly, it is usually mouse grey in color. Okay, it is mouse grey in color, which is 1/4 inch in length. Okay, which is 1/4 inch in length with head, thorax and abdomen. Okay, with head, thorax and abdomen. So this is having head, thorax, abdomen. Then it has an antenna, it has usually a pair of antenna. Then it has usually a pair of eyes, proboscis, a pair of wings and 3 pairs of legs. They are usually non-biting housefly. Okay, they are usually non-biting housefly, which is usually called as Musca domestica. Okay, which is usually called as Musca domestica. This lives close to the breeding places. Okay, this lives close to the breeding places. So it is housefly, it is mouse grey in color. Okay, housefly, it is usually mouse grey in color, which is 1/4 inch in length, which consists of head, thorax, abdomen, proboscis, a pair of proboscis, antenna, a pair of eyes, 3 pairs of legs, as well as a pair of wings. So this is usually a non-biting vector, which is usually called as Musca domestica. So next is lifespan of this housefly. So lifespan, it is usually seen that it also passes through the 3 stages: larva, pupa and adult. Okay, it passes into 3 stages: larva, pupa and adult. And the life cycle, it is a week, that is about 10 days. Lifespan is about 15 days. Okay, lifespan about 15 days. A female housefly will lay about 600 to 900 eggs. Okay, female housefly will lay about 600 to 900 eggs during her lifespan. So that is lifespan. It usually passes in the life cycle, which passes into 3 stages: larva, pupa and adult. And usually life cycle is about 10 days, and lifespan it is about 15 days, and a female housefly will lay about 600 to 900 eggs in her lifespan. So that is usually that. So what are the diseases that this housefly will cause? So diseases it mainly causes, I have already told you in the beginning: cholera, gastroenteritis, typhoid, worm infestation and conjunctivitis. So the diseases which usually caused by this fly, it is usually cholera, typhoid, gastroenteritis, conjunctivitis and worm infestation. So how it is transmitting? So this housefly transmits the disease in different ways. Like first is mechanical. Mechanical, I have already told you, like it has been from person to person. So it is usually what happens. So it is mainly transmitted mechanically. So that is usually then. So how we can control the fly, or what are the measures that we have to take to control the fly? So normally environmental sanitation has to be done. So that is, we have to eliminate the breeding places. Okay, we have to eliminate the breeding places. Then proper disposal of this garbage, night soil, everything should be properly disposed. Then we have to stop open air defecation. Okay, we have to stop this open air defecation. So what are the measures that we have to take in order to control the fly? So normally we have to control the fly by proper environmental sanitation, proper disposal of sewage, like disposal of refuse, garbage and night soil. Then avoiding, like we have to completely stop open air defecation. And then we can use certain insecticides to kill the housefly, like lindane, malathion. So that is usually, we can use this lindane and malathion. So that is usually sprayed so that we can destroy this fly. So that is usually about this fly control measures, and this is about this housefly. So housefly, it is non-biting insect which usually called as Musca domestica. This consists of head, thorax and abdomen, antenna, 1 pair of eyes, 3 pairs of legs, a pair of proboscis. So this is usually there. So this usually causes the diseases are cholera, typhoid, gastroenteritis, worm infestation and conjunctivitis. This is transmitted through mechanical transmission, which is already told in the beginning. That is mechanical transmission. So what is biological transmission, mechanical transmission, as well as direct contact. So mechanical transmission is mainly transmitted by arthropod to the man. Directly it is caused from the arthropod to the man. So it is usually about this. That is usually about this mechanical transmission. Fly control measures, environmental sanitation should be maintained. So next is sandfly. So what are these sandflies? So sandfly are usually small, brown in color. Okay, they are usually small, brown in color. They are smaller than mosquitoes. Okay, they are usually smaller than mosquitoes. So that is usually there. So there are usually 30 species of sandflies. Okay, they are usually about 30 species of sandfly which is found in India. Okay, sandfly are small, brown in color, which is smaller than mosquitoes. Okay, which is smaller than mosquitoes. There are about 30 species of this sandfly which is usually present in India. So same thing, the body of this sandfly consists of head, thorax and abdomen. So they have long legs, then wings they have, and also airy body. Okay, they are completely filled with air. Okay, they are completely filled with air. So the body usually consists of head, thorax and abdomen, and the features are usually they will be having long leg, airy body. So that is usually about this thing. So these stages or life cycle mainly include same thing: head, egg, larva, pupa and adult. Okay, they are usually having egg, larva and pupa and adult. Egg, usually they lay egg in the soil. Okay, they usually lay egg in the soil, that is the soil which is present near the cattle shed, poultry, as well as where soil is damp and dark. Okay, they lay egg where the soil is damp and dark. So they lay egg in the soil that is near the cattle shed and poultry, or where the soil is damp and dark. The larva, this is airy maggot. Okay, this is usually airy maggot. It lives in the soil feeding on decaying organic matter. Okay, it lives in the soil feeding on the decaying organic matter. This last stage lasts for 2 weeks. Okay, the stage lasts for 2 weeks. So that is usually the pupa. This stage lasts for 7 days. Okay, this stage lasts for 7 days. The adult sandfly will live for 14 days. Okay, the adult sandfly will live for 14 days. So that is usually that. So mainly it usually includes of Sandfly mainly consists of like egg, larva and pupa and adult. Egg usually lays in the soil where the soil is damp and dark. Larva usually stays in the soil, feeds on the organic matter. This stage will be present for 2 weeks, and then pupa will be present for 7 days, and the adult sandfly will live for 14 days. So diseases which is caused by the sandfly, it is Kala Azar. Okay, the diseases which is caused by the sandfly, it is Kala Azar and sandfly fever. Then what are the control measures? Spraying insecticide, that is linden. Okay, we have to spray insecticide, that is linden. Good sanitation should be followed. So that is usually about this thing. So that is about this control measures of this sandfly. So sandfly, it is similar to that of mosquito, but it is small to that of mosquitoes. And this is usually about, there are 30 species of this sandfly. In our country, this consists of head, body and thorax and abdomen. And it usually consists of like long legs, airy body, able to hop. Okay, they are able to hop. So that is usually the other thing. This is about this sandfly. So next is lice. So what is this lice? This lice, it is a kind of small wingless ectoparasite. So this lice, it is usually a small wing-like ectoparasite. So it is usually a small wing-like ectoparasites of man. Okay, so this lice are usually small wingless ectoparasites of man, which is usually spend time in the host. Okay, within the host. Okay, the same time within the host. And this is transferred from one host to other host. Okay, it is transferred from one host to the other host. So this infestation due to lice is usually called as pediculosis. This infestation due to this lice, it is usually called as pediculosis. Human lice are common all over the world due to low standard of hygiene practices. Okay, human lice are common. This is mainly due to the low standard of hygiene practices. So that is mainly, it is seen that. So that is lice. It is mainly wingless ectoparasites of the man. They are usually transferred from one host to the other host. And this infestation by this lice is usually known as pediculosis. Human lice are common all over the world. This is occurring due to less standard practice of hygiene. So what are the diseases it transmits? It transmits. How it is transmitted? It's transmitted from person to person by direct contact. It is transmitted by person to person by direct contact, like while sleeping together, sitting together, or indirectly through clothes, bed, comb, brushes. So that is usually, the disease is usually transmitted through direct contact. So the disease is usually transmitted through direct contact, like sitting together, sleeping, living, through comb, cloth, bed. So that is usually seen. So the diseases that usually cause that. So that is mainly about this thing. So what are the prevention that we take? So prevention we can take, it is a proper personal hygiene, that is daily bathing, combing using clean clean clothes, periodical washing and drying of linen. So that is usually what is that? It is maintaining proper personal hygiene. Okay, it is maintaining proper personal hygiene like daily bathing, combing, using clean clothes and then washing the linen regularly. Then insecticides, use of insecticide are more effective in destroying this lice. And then head lice, about 0.5% of malathion should be applied to head. A load for 24 hours and air wash to be given. Okay, 0.5% of malathion, it should be allowed to stay in the head for 24 hours and then air wash should be given. So that is usually about this control measures that we do. And in case of body lice, so body lice can be used like malathion with ketril. Okay, malathion with ketril is sprayed on the body. Okay, it is sprayed on the body. So that is usually kills the lice. This can be done by 2 applications. Okay, it should be done by 2 applications in a week. Okay, it should be done 2 applications in a week. Like each 50 grams of powder should be used. Okay, each time 50 grams of powder should be used. So that is usually the control measures of this lice. So lice, it is ectoparasites of the man which usually spend time in the same host and transfer from host to one host to other host. And this usually it is common all over the world due to poor personal hygiene.